Good morning, my lovely students. How are you doing? I hope that you guys are just fine. Today, we are going to start a new section, and it will be the last section of our unit, which is Unit 7, Wild World, and our section is about writing. Writing a story part 2. Writing a story 2. Why we say it's part 2? Because we took writing a story 1 in the first semester. So today we are going to proceed. We are going to continue and add information to our previous information in order to write an excellent story, in order to write an excellent story. So now let me share the presentation with you in order to start our lesson for today, and please pay extra attention to me and be quiet after I am done explaining. If you guys have any question, please just raise your hand, and if I ask also from anyone to read, just also raise your hands and I'll choose from you guys. Let me now share the presentation with you. I believe that you have got the screen in front of you, so let us start. Our lesson will be on page 92 in your student book, on page 92. So open your books, okay, because we are going to read a couple of information from there, and after we are done, we are going to solve the exercises from our books. To start, to begin with, our slide in here says our title, how to write a story. So we are going to write. What are we going to write? We are going to write a story. So let's write a story. Let us write a story. Before writing a story, when I want to write a story, I think, okay, how can I write a story? We have elements of a story. So what are the main elements of a story? What are the main elements of a story? When I say we have to write a story, or I need to write a story, I have a couple of elements that I have to take into consideration, and they are connected to the WH questions in order to form our story. So who can tell me one of these elements? Let me see. Yalla. I want to see hands in here. Farah. Yalla ya Farah.
The plot.
The plot. What about it? Can you tell me the meaning of it? When I say the plot of the story.
It tells you about the reason of the not the reason, like the main thing of the story.
Yes, the events, the events of the story. Yes, thank you, dear. The plot, which is in Arabic, الحبكة. All right. Yes, thank you, dear. So it is a series of events of the story. Thank you, dear. Who can tell me another element and explain it for me? Zena.
Characters,
Yes. What about them?
the people who did this problem, or the main characters, we mean people who live in this place, or the people who happened with them this problem.
Yes, who is acting in the story or in the play, or the people, okay, who are involved in this story. Yes, thank you, dear. Yusuf, number 3.
Settings where
Yes,
the story happened and when it happened.
yeah, Nalek, thank you. So the setting, the place and time of the story. Where did the story happen and when did the story happen? Yes, thank you, yeah, Yusuf. And we have 2 more. Let me see hands in here. Vicky,
Yes, teacher. Resolution.
Resolution.
Yes, teacher. Resolution.
Yes. Do
Uh,
you know what
aff-
it means?
yes, teacher. Affirm distraction to do or not to do something.
It is solving the problem that we have in the story. So why am I telling a story? Why I have a plot? Why I have a conflict? In order to solve, in order to come to an end for this story or for this action. Thank you, yeah, Vicky. And the last one, Juan.
The conflict is why did the story happen?
Yes, so it is the what? The problem, the struggle in the story, okay? Why there is a story anyway, okay? Why? What happened? What was the struggle? What was the problem of the story? Yes, thank you, dear. So here, one more time, in order to have a story, I have to have elements in the story, and they are setting, plot, characters, conflict, and the resolution. All right, that's good. In order to write a story, okay, there is events in the story, which is the plot, right? So I want my events to be in sequence. What do I mean by the word sequence? Let me see who would like to read. Let me see here. I want Noor, يلا Noor.
When you tell a story, it's important that the reader is able to follow the sequence of events. Should I continue?
Yes, dear, continue.
You can do this by using certain phrases that help to show how events follow on form on another. These phrases also help to create scenes of drama in the
Sense of the
story.
drama, sense.
Sense of drama in the story.
Thank you, dear. All right, let's go back. Sequencing events. The word sequence. Look here. What? Okay, my bad. Look here. What do I mean by the word sequence? What is sequencing? Sequence is the order in which events happen. So it is about order and order, ترتيب معين. So if I say I want the events of the story to be told in a certain sequence, okay? I mean by sequence is the order in which events happen. So we have, okay, many events, many actions. I need to put them, to order them, okay, to put them in order, to put them in sequence. So sequence is a synonym of order. To put them in sequence in order to have a good story. So let's go back and explain. Sequencing events. When you tell a story, it's important that the reader is able to follow the sequence of events. Why? In order for the person in front of you to understand what are you talking about. Because if the events weren't in a certain sequence, okay, the reader of the story will not understand what you are talking about. You can do this by using certain phrases. So here, in order to put our events in sequence, we have to use certain phrases that help us or that help to show how events follow on from one to another, how events follow on from one to another. How I move from one action to another, from one event to another, from one situation to another. These phrases also help to create a sense of drama in the story. It also gives you, all right, a sense of that there is, okay, something happening in the story. There is a conflict, there is a plot, there is a series of events that is talking or that are talking regarding something. So it, okay, creates a sense of the drama in our story. So one more time, the word sequence is the order in which events happen, Let's go back now to get introduced to some of these sequence phrases. The ones which are in the box are the main ones, or are the ones that I can use, all right, if I have a short story, okay? But if I want to add more events or more actions, I can use the other ones which are underneath or above them. So who can read a couple of these things? Let me see new hands in here. فرح فيكي زينة حلينا كلياتنا. جيسيكا يلا يا جيسيكا.
Yes, teacher. The order in which things happen in a story. First, once you been a time at first before Ariel. Next, second, afterward. Then later, once after soon. The next day, meanwhile. Last, the end. Finally, and they lived happily ever after.
Thank you, dear. So here, let's look at a couple of these words. When I say first, it means at the beginning or at first, okay? Or in the beginning of my story. So all that gives you the expression in order to start writing your story first. When I say next, and here we could also use second, okay? Second or afterwards or after that, okay? Or later or once after. Okay, it means in here that you have another event. So we are sequencing our events. We are putting our events or our actions in order. We have also then or after that, or the next day if you are talking about days, all right, or the next hour, or the next 10 minutes maybe, all right, or the next year maybe, right? Or you can use meanwhile. It means at this moment, at this okay minute. Maybe there are two actions that are happening at the same time, so you are saying meanwhile, and please pay extra attention to this. So meanwhile, it means at this moment or at this minute. Once after, okay, this is another word for then. Once after I am done with an action and I am moving to the other action, or soon. And if I say last or finally in here, last or finally, it means that I solved my conflict. I put, and now I am coming to the resolution, to that solution, الحل, all right? I am resolving my conflict. So I can say here at last or at the end of my story maybe, or of my problem, or finally. And here at the end, okay, you can insert either a resolution اللي هو الحل, okay, solving your problem, and you can also give your opinion. You can also give your opinion or an advice or blah blah blah. But here in the story, okay, you have to have a resolution, because I think in the story you cannot or it's not okay, it's not a main thing. It's not a main thing to add your opinion or your point of view, because you are telling a story and you are writing a story, and you are not writing regarding anything else, okay, such as an article or etc. All right, let's go to our next slide in here, which are the main words, okay, the main phrases or words that we are going to be using, okay, mostly in order to write our uh, story in here, which are, who can read them? Let me see. Natalie, we have a new hand in here. يلا يا Natalie.
First, next, then, after that, finally.
All right, Natalie, can I put finally at the beginning?
No, teacher.
Why?
Because it ends. Because it means that finally, like they ended it, or
Yes,
like
it is meant, okay, in order to be at the end of
at
our
the end.
story. Yes, and not at the beginning, because we have other phrases, okay, to start with, okay, such as first or at the beginning or blah blah blah. All right, thank you, dear. Well, okay, so let's go to our next slide in here, and we are going deeper in our information in order to add to our information to write a good story in here. So who would like to read this slide for me? Let me see hands in here. I want Layth. يلا يا Layth.
Yes, teacher.
Yes.
Use descriptive vocabulary
Descriptive.
when you are writing.
Layth.
Yes,
Descriptive.
descriptive
Okay.
vocabulary. When you are writing a story, you can express your ideas more clearly and give the reader a more vivid picture of the people and events by using more precise and descriptive vocabulary. For example, you can use stare or glance instead
Glance.
instead of look and creep or march instead of walk.
يعني عليك. Thank you, Laith. All right, let's go back to in order to explain my or that slide one more time using descriptive vocabulary. So if I say descriptive, it means that I have to give an explanation. I have to go deeper in my vocab in order to enrich يغني, okay, in order to enrich my story, okay, to be a good story or to be an excellent story. So what do I use in my vocabulary? I use descriptive vocabulary. Okay, before explaining this, let's go to the meaning of the descriptive words. So descriptive words, Zaina, can you read descriptive words
Yes.
definition?
Words which help visualize, describe, define, or explain information about people, places, things, situations, or actions.
Thank you, dear. So here, when I want to define the word descriptive, okay, this word means, or these words mean that words which help us to visualize. What's the meaning of visualize? Who can tell me?
نتخيل.
يتخيلوا.
Visualize, يتخيل.
يوضح.
يوضح. Alright. شو كمان؟
تصوير يصور
يتصور.
Okay, يصور. Thank you. Visualize from your vision, من الرؤية. So here it comes as imagining, visualizing, conceiving, all right? Seeing. Okay? So it means visualize, describe, have a description, define or explain, okay, define or explain information about what? About people in the story, about the places in the story, about things in the story, about the story itself, the situations or the actions of the story. So now we know the meaning of descriptive. So let's go back to our slide in order to explain it using descriptive vocabulary. Here, when you are writing a story, you can express your ideas more clearly. So, in order to make your story, okay, clearer, all right, we give the reader a more vivid picture. The meaning of vivid, more clearer picture. صورة أوضح of the people, events, by using more precise and descriptive vocabulary. What's the meaning of precise? What's the meaning of precise? Do you guys know?
زي
دقيق
المضخمة يعني.
دقيق
دقيق يعني عليكم. Yes, thank you. When I say write a precise and descriptive paragraph, I want you to be إيش دقيقين precise and I mean by precise in here accurate, careful, delicate, exact, okay, correct, متقن, perfect, neat, accurate, all right, exactly, مضبوط, perfect. So if I say a precise, it means here a perfect one, an accurate one, a neat one, and descriptive vocabulary. For example, let's look at this example. You can use the word stare. Stare, it's a deeper, okay, meaning for the word look, okay, because look, it is a simple word, okay, we use it always in every day's actions. But if I want to write a good story, a neat story, a precise and descriptive story, all right, I can put a strong synonym for the words that I have. So here for the word look, I could put stare, or I can insert the word glance at instead of look. And for the word walk, I have synonyms for it, such as creep, and it means ايش يعني creep? Who knows? اللي هي الزحف، اوكي؟ اوكي، بس انا هون ما باخذها بالمعنى الحرفي إلها، انا هون باخذها بالمعنى الايش المجازي، metaphorically and not literally. metaphorically يعني مجازي and not literally معناها حرفي. or march اللي هو بيستخدموه اكثر في المصطلحات الحربيه، لانه marching اللي هي معناها يسير السير، اوكي، بخطوات منتظمة زي مثلا ما الجيش أو القوات المسلحة. So here it is a deeper meaning for the word walk, and I can put them instead of walk in order to enrich my story, Let's go to the next slide, which is about some descriptive words. So who can read a couple of these words? يلا, let me see and see how strong they are. Let me see hands. Yeah. Vicky, can you read a couple of them?
yes teacher
Yes.
mm, magic
Magic.
uh, magnetic
Magnetic. Melodic.
melodic mottled
Mottled. Okay,
mottled
thank you, dear. Who else? Who else would like to? يلا فرح. Read a couple of them.
memorable,
Mm-hmm.
mysterious, major, middle class, misty,
Thank you,
modest.
Yusuf. Thank you, dear Yusuf.
Yes, teacher. Metal, sized, murky, magic,
What is
modern,
this here?
$1,000,000,
This one.
mind blowing,
Yes. Thank you. Modest, misty, magic, mottled. Yes. Thank you, dear. Middle class. All right. Thank you, dears. So here we now move to the next slide, which is about useful expressions. So here we have two categories which we will be discussing, which are the ways of seeing. If I want to have a word That means seeing or looking at something in my story. What, okay, words may I put instead of the word seeing or looking? And the same thing for ways of walking, okay? Instead of saying walking, what words may I use? So let's have a student in order to read the first list for me. يلا let me see hands. يلا مريم. مريم.
Yes.
Yes, can you please higher your voice, dear?
Yes, of course. Catch a glance of,
Catch a
catch,
glimpse of, yes.
catch someone's eyes, gaze at, glance at, glare at, make out, notice, observe, rejoin, stare at,
Recognize,
recognize, stare at.
stare at. Yes, thank you, dear. And who would like to read the ways of walking? Let me see in here. Ways of walking. I need new hands. No new hands, huh? Farah, go ahead, dear.
Yes, teacher. Creep, limp, march, scrape, stroll, wander.
Wander. Yes, thank you. Okay, let's go back and see. Catch a glimpse of, it means يسرق النظر, so it is related to the word seeing or looking at. What about catch someone's eyes? It means okay, يلفت الانتباه. Gaze at, glance at, glare at, stare at. Okay, they all have the same meaning, that you are look at, okay, in a sharp way. Okay, زي ما انا بحكي بالعربي يحدق. Okay, observe it means يراقب. recognize اللي هي يتعرف على. Alright, by seeing, by looking at this thing. Okay, make out it means يلاحظ. Okay, it is such as notice. All right, let's go to the ways of walking. I can say creep, and I said it means يزحف. Limp, يعرج. March, it means يسير. Skip here, it means يقفز when I am talking about the action walking. Skip, okay, it means يقفز. All right, you're not stroll here it means يتنزه. Wander it means يتجول. So all these descriptive words, or these words, okay, can describe the action of walking, and all these words or phrases can also describe the action of seeing or looking at. The action of seeing or looking at. All right, here is a learning reminder. It is the same one as the first one that we read, but it's in your workbook. Yes, it's in your workbook. That's why I put it in your slide in order just to remind you of the descriptive words and the sequencing of the events. And now we come to our last section for today's class, which is complete, which is your task. Your task, okay, I have it here in front of you, and it's in your student book on page 93. Okay, but before writing the story, before you write the story, we have to or I will give you a homework for next time, which is the exercises in your student book on page 92 and 93, and in your workbook. Exactly, I believe that you have also three exercises there. Okay, but before solving our exercises, let's have a look at our task and have a sample regarding it, and have a sample. So who would like to read exercise G, and then we will explain it together. Let me see here. I want new hands. Yalla. Okay, Yusuf, go ahead.
Okay. Complete the exam task below. Remember to make a paragraph plan for your story and use phrases to show the order of the events so the reader can follow your story clearly. Write story for an English speaking magazine. that begins with these words. They all lived as if they were standing on the top of the world. Right from 140 to 190 words.
Yeah, thank you, Yusuf. All right, let's go back. Complete the exam task below. So we have a task. Remember to make a paragraph plan. So in order to write our story, as we took previously in the first semester, you have to have a plan for your story. Okay, you have to insert the elements in a plan in order to write a good sequencing paragraphs for your story, and use the phrases. We need to use descriptive and precise, okay, words or vocabulary for our story to show the order of events so the reader can follow your story clearly, so the reader can understand what you are talking about. Okay, our task is write a story for an English speaking magazine that begins with these words. So your story should begin with this sentence, with these words. They all, who are they? The people who are in the picture, okay? They all felt as if they were standing on top of the world. So if I see this sentence, I can imagine what is happening in there. I can see that they are standing on top of something. I can see that they are wearing certain clothes, that they are having certain materials, items, stuff. Okay, so I can imagine, I can, okay, take you into consideration what I see in my picture, in my photo, in order to write a good sequencing story or a good sequencing events. Let's go to a suggested answer, okay? And here we will start with the plan. Who can read the plan for me? I have made a plan and I have made a sample for you guys in order to have an idea so you could write your own story. So who can read the plan for me? Let me see here. Yalla, I want new hands. Okay, can Noor start reading and then I will choose another student. Plan. In paragraph 1, ya Noor.
Begin with the sentence given and introduce the main characters.
Thank you. Number 2, paragraph 2. Noor.
Oh, me? Set the sentence and describe background
Set the
details.
scene, ya Noor.
Scene and describe the background details.
Thank you. Farah, continue. Describe.
Describe how they got to the place where they were. Add the twist in the story. Bring the story to an end.
Thank you, dear. Thank you. All right, let's go back to our plan in here. In paragraph 1, we have to begin. So we have to use words, okay, such as first, okay, in the beginning, okay, etc. So begin with the sentence given and introduce the main characters. So here, from our elements, we have to talk about the main characters. In paragraph 2, set the scene, okay, the setting, okay, where is the story taking place? When is the story taking place? And describe the background details. So we have to put these things in details. In paragraph 3, we have to describe how they got to the place. So when they give us the sentence that they feel that they are on top of the world, so we can imagine that they reached a certain place. Okay, they were in a place and they reached another one. So describe, okay, give me details about how they give or how they got to that place and where they were, when كانوا. In paragraph 4, add a twist in the story, a twist, okay, so here, okay, you may add a problem, a conflict, you may add an interrupted event, okay, it might be a happy event, it might be a sad event. So, okay, you have to make action in the story in order to make it more interesting. okay, in order to make it more interesting. And in paragraph 5, which is the last paragraph, all right, you have to have an end to your story. So bring the story to an end. So here you might use from the sequencing words, at last, finally, last but not least, at the end of my story. Okay, so here you have to bring an end to the story. You have to have the resolution. You have to have the you have to solve your argument, your struggle, which was in the story. All right, let's start reading the sample that we have. Let's read the sample that we have in here. So I would like Zaina to start reading. Suggested answer. Read the first paragraph here.
They all felt as if they were standing on top of the world. After several hours hard climbing, they had made it. At first, Karen and her friends didn't know where to look. Everything below looked so small and far away.
Thank you. So here we can imagine that from the first sentence that they gave us, they all felt as if they were standing on top of the world after several hours hard climbing. So they were climbing. They had made it. So they moved from one place to another. At first, see, they here I used at first in order to say that at the beginning of my story I am talking. Here we insert the name, okay, Karen and her friends. So here I gave the characters for my story. They didn't know where to look. Everything below, so they are standing on something high because they saw everything below them that looks so small and far away. Small and far. Thank you. Who would like to continue reading? Let's read Ya Farah, Karen or Karim.
Karen and her two best mates had been dreaming of this day for a long time, for a very long time. They had prepared by going for long walks to build up their strength until they had felt they were fit enough to make the climb. They had begun the climb at 9 that rainy morning.
Thank you, dear. All right, Karen and her two best mates. What's the meaning of mates?
It's like
زي إنه
friends.
شريك أو
يعني عليك
friend.
yes, her friends, her colleagues, okay, had been dreaming of this day for, so it was a dream for them. It was a goal for them in order to reach that place by climbing. They had prepared ايش يعني prepared؟
زي إنه جهز أو
حضروا.
حضر.
Yes, by going for long walks to build up their strength, قوتهم, until they had felt they were fit enough. See here the word enough, I used it. Fit enough to make that climb. اللي هي ايش؟ The procedure of climbing اللي هي التسلق. They had begun the climb at 9 that rainy morning. So here I also gave the sitting. I also gave when did they climb. So here we also, okay, inserted the sitting, the background of the story. Thank you. Before long, let me see hands who would like to read. Let me see new hands. يلا يا Natalie. Before
Before long, the sun had come out and they had
become
become very warm in their woolen sweaters. The climb was exhausting but wonderful. The closer they got to the top, the more excited they felt.
Thank you, dear.
Oh.
Before long, okay, the sun had come out. So they started climbing at 9. And then the sun, okay, it is getting hotter and hotter. So here they became very warm in their woolen it was soft sweaters. The climb was exhausting because it's very hot and exhausting. It means very ash.
very
Very
tired.
tiring.
Yes, very tiring, very tiring. مش very tired. مش هو اللي كان tired. هم اللي كانوا tired. Okay, tired. So it was very tiring. اللي كان متعب. But wonderful because they wanted to do this thing. Because they have dreamed of this thing. تمام? The closer they got to the top, the more excited they felt. So here we have a comparison, right? The closer, the more excited. Just then, Karen, okay, who would like to continue reading in here? Yalla, let me see. Yalla, Jessica.
Yes.
Just then,
Then Karen stopped the glanced up. She noticed a bald eagle soaring
bald
through.
eagle
She held her breath and gazed at in the
and
window.
gazed at in, yes, thank you, dear. So here, just then, Karen stopped and glanced up. So here, we know that the word glance, it means look, okay, looked at, okay, looked at something. She noticed, here is another word for the word see, a bald eagle soaring through the air. ايش هنا okay, what can I call this thing? I could call that it is an interrupted action. Do you remember here when I say we can add a twist in the story? So my twist was regarding this interrupted action, which is a bald eagle, okay, who was looking through, or who was soaring through the air. كان يحلق في الهواء. She held her breath and gazed. Gazed, it means also looked in wonder. Okay, in wonder. The last paragraph here will be for, let me see hands here. يلا 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 Marianne, go, Diala, okay, Diala, because I didn't hear your voice. Excuse me, Marianne, حبيبتي, يلا. At last,
At last, they arrived at the top. The sun was shining brightly. Karen and her friends had reached their goal, and it was the most amazing experience of their lives.
thank you. So here we are coming to the end of our story. So I inserted the sequence word at last. They arrived at the top. They reached what they wanted to reach. The sun was shining. See, they are here explaining the background, okay, the setting, and it is a more cheerful, okay, place because they reached to their destination, to their goal. The sun was shining brightly. Karen and her friends had reached their goal, and it was the most amazing experience of their lives. It was so. Here I came to the end. I came to my resolution after climbing and after being hot and in their woolen sweaters. They reached to their goal. This was my resolution for my story. With that, I'll be done with explaining our lesson for today. So thank you for listening and paying attention. For next time, I will, as I told you, give you a homework in order to go deeper in the information that we are going to be using in order to write our task. For the meanwhile, do not write anything. You just solve the exercises, the homework, in order to do them tomorrow together, and then I will assign you the homework that or the task for, in order to write your own story, in order to write your own story. For the meanwhile, I'll leave you to go to your next class. You guys have a nice day and see you tomorrow.